Chapter 4. International Laws and Regulations on Biotech and Natural Medicine.
Okay, there's before we jump into the next chapters, it's very important to understand why is it that from time to time we see on the news that some communities in most of the time developing country are on a strike going against the government. And the reason why is because some industry, let's say the mining, it could be pharmaceutical industry, or other industries want to take over the land because they had found one of these products that they need in order to make them legal drugs or whatever it is, it just escapes from my mind right now because I want to focus on the international laws that in a way or another protect but do not protect it because of related to the heritage. There's one thing: I could be born in Peru, but I don't own the country. So it's the same deal with the communities. Communities are born in a country and they stay there. They say, well, my ancestors lived here. Yeah, but that land, you never bought that land. You say, yeah, but I own the rights of this plant because I know how to use it, and now I want to put it in. I want to patent this as a medicine. And international laws get into the game, and then these people actually deeply don't know much about laws, and so they are not protected by anyone, and sometimes they just have to leave the place. So we're gonna get deep into international laws related to biotech and natural medicine.
1. IPR laws, WTO, TRIPS.
Now, intellectual property rights. Listen to this because it's quite tricky, and sometimes it's very, very hard to prove. But this is what the law says of international property rights. In order for an invention to be patentable, the invention must be considered to be new or novel. This novelty requirement states that an invention cannot be patented if certain public disclosures of the invention had been made. Meaning that, for example, if I invented the lemonade, but all my neighborhoods are drinking the lemonade, I cannot patent the lemonade. There's no way. If I invent some sort of tea, because I have this plant in my family for, I don't know, many years, many generations, and my grandmother used to make this tea that cured my coughing problem. Coughing problem, I drink the tea, and now I'm okay. It's just a miracle thing. But everybody's using it because in my community, we don't have drugstores. So we have to rely on natural medicine, which is spread all over the jungle in order to cure our sicknesses. Governments are not going to do anything for us, so we have to take control of our jungle. And based on the knowledge that we have over our botany, we have to get our medicine. And it works, for sure it works. But if you want to patent that, then international laws are going to get in between. Then we have WTO. Now, WTO, let me find it. There we go. So this is the World Trade Organization, and this is what they are all about. The overall objective of the World Trade Organization is to help its members use trade to raise living standards, create jobs, and improve people's lives. The WTO operates the global system of trade rules and helps developing countries build their trade capacity. So they help that community to trade them plants and then herbology, then botany, then ancestral recipes to the world. How it happens, how much money they get, we don't know yet. Okay, but this is WTO. And now we go to TRIPS. TRIPS stand for Trade-Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights. It goes like, it ensures effective and appropriate protection for trade-related intellectual property rights, taking into account differences in national legal systems. It establishes multilateral minimum rules to help combat counterfeiting. So, in a way or another, to don't make copies of what you portrayed as to be a novelty. So to don't, for example, if we have muña here, we were talking about muña some early before, and I said, okay, muña, it's a native from Peru, and I make a tea that is really good for your coffins. Continue with that sickness. I don't want to go deep into sicknesses. And somebody else is making the same tea and says, no, it's my tea. And then the other one says, no, it's my tea. And like this, they're just like copying your recipe. These guys are supposed to prevent that from happening. No? So it's established multilateral minimum rules to help combat counterfeiting. So this is what the TRIPS is all about. The Food and Drug Administration is responsible for protecting the public health by ensuring the safety, efficacy, and security of human and veterinary drugs, biological products, and medical devices, and by ensuring the safety of our nation's food supply, cosmetics, and products that emit radiation. This is, of course, for United States of America. We continue with the other chapter.
3. Human rights on health issues.
It says, the right to health, as with other rights, include both freedoms and entitlements. Freedoms include the right to control one's health and body, for example, sexual and reproductive rights, and to be free from interference, for example, free from torture and non-consensual medical treatment and experimentation. And now we have justice is supposed to be blind. On the next chapter, when I make the SWOT, I make the SWOT for the biotech industry and the natural medicine industry. And I made the pros and the cons and what affinities they got and the things that they have to resolve, the things that they're still ahead to resolve.
4. Biopiracy crime. Pat Roy Mooney, 1990.
Now, we all know what piracy is. Now, imagine that they do the same, but with, plants. There was this guy called Pat Mooney in the 1990. He coined this expression, biopiracy. And basically, biopiracy, I'm going to read it for you, is the practice of commercial exploitation of biochemicals or genetic materials which occur naturally. Typically, indigenous people have traditional cognition primarily consisting of biological features and genetic diversity of the natural environment from one generation to another. So same old same. They know them heritage, they have them recipes, but they cannot patent that. That's what keeps them away from earning money. I believe that if that plant of that medicine comes from my place and I don't have the right to sell it, in big scale, worldwide, it's quite injustice. There's a lot of injustice there. But anyways, these communities have no idea about these laws, but they are actually them richness is their doom. Things like they're cursed by all of the richness that Mother Nature has to give to them. Anyways, we keep on getting deep in this, and now I'm going to get to the next chapter.
5. Justice is supposed to be blind.
All right, and now we've gotten to the last part, which is justice is supposed to be blind. Look, I'm going to read you something so you have a better idea of how this works. But basically, related to numbers, the biotech industry is the #1 industry in the world, valuing $431 billion in the 2019. Now, in the 2019 was pre-pandemic, and after pandemic, for sure, they got more money. Now, in the year 1993, November 29, there was a convention. It was a Convention of Biological Diversity. It's called the CVD. Now, the CVD made a treaty, and the treaty, it's about, it's called a multilateral treaty. The convention has 3 main goals: the conservation of biological diversity, or biodiversity, yeah, the sustainable use of its components, and the fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising from genetic resources. Its objective is to develop national strategies for the conservation and sustainable use of biological diversity, and it is often seen as the key document regarding sustainable development. Now, what happens here? When you go to the jungle, you find these communities that don't own they don't have a title over the property of the land, and some industries get to the place because the same thing that happened in Avatar. Well, I don't want to describe the whole movie, but the same thing that happened in Avatar. Well, if you saw the movie, for sure you know about it. Now, what happens here? This treaty has been signed for many countries around the world, but there are two countries that didn't sign the treaty. The first one is United States of America, the U.S., and the second one is Peru. So it says the U.S. and Peru are two non-activist countries in this treaty. Never even signed the treaty, while Peru legislation does not enable mechanisms to conserve biodiversity. Recent environmental laws are just as toothless, and this is from a document, Journal of Ethnobiology and Ethnomedicine, 2006. So if you cannot protect a region of your country and you rather selling that property to whatever enterprise that's going to pay you a lot of money for that, would you sign this treaty? I would dare to say no, because if you sign the treaty, then you're going to have to allow people to come here and create a fiscalization to check what are you doing, and whatever community that goes against whatever it is that the government is going to allow to make with that community, this treaty is going to forbid the government or whatever other industry to take people away from them, the land where they were born, even though they don't own the land and everything, you know. So states in Peru didn't sign that treaty, and to the eyes of justice, sometimes happens that justice is not as blind as we hope it should be. So this is the tricky part again, you know. There's so many tricky parts. I mean, that when you start studying the laws, it's like one law opposed to the other, and this other opposed to the other, but this one here is connected to the other one, which is opposed to the other. It's just crazy. So I just wanted to make it very compact, you know, so you have the idea, but you already have the names and you already have the codes, so you can go and look for more information about it.